Hi guys, this is BoxeR. Welcome to another audio commentary, continuing coverage of the E-Stars Heritage League, fantastic festival of StarCraft, and we're coming up to almost the last set of matches. This is the semi-finals being played between BoxeR and Nara. This was actually played just Saturday, a couple of days ago, and I've got Rise alongside me, and this is going to be huge. BoxeR versus Nara.
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited about it because, I mean, these are two of the top players of all time facing off against each other, and I guess more notably is the fact that they're both Terran players. The first best Terran player ever. I don't know. That's how I would put it. And then the guy who took him down, Nada. You know, the guy that everybody knows as well. At least I always had known as the guy who took down BoxeR. I mean, who else is there to talk about after Nada as the best Terran players? And you have to go all the way until you talk about Flash and the guys of current like Lita and things like that. So Nada has always been one of my favorite players. He's always been very crazy. You know, the Tornado Terran. He's got an exciting style of play. And BoxeR, you know, he's just a very thoughtful player, I guess is the best way to put it. He's always got really great strategy behind everything he does. And so he makes for exciting games, and because of the the shape that both these players are in these days, I think that it's actually going to be a really good match because BoxeR has surprised me. He's actually been playing better than I thought he was going to play when he came back, and even though he lost to 4GG in that last TVT that we commentated, he played really well, and I thought he was going to win. And 4GG is, you know, a past MSL winner, a recent past MSL winner. So certainly that says a lot to BoxeR. And Nada, of course, always in the OSL and the MSL, very consistent player. Not winning them lately, but always playing well, getting really far into them. So definitely expecting a good game from both these guys.
Yeah, and just for anyone who didn't catch the colors, we've got BoxeR in green at the 9 o'clock position and Nada in yellow at the 12 o'clock position. This is going to be on Outsider. And, well, I mean, the other player that we would probably want to mention as far as Terran Bourgeois go is probably I Love Uruvi, who emerged, obviously, after BoxeR, and was the next big Terran player for SK Team 1. And then they had a bunch of other players that showed a lot of promise, like, excuse me, like Kanata and I guess, well, Sea Shield wasn't really SK Terran, but Kanata I think is the other big one. But obviously he never really made it to the top stage. And then there was of course Zelos, but again he wasn't SK Team 1. But yeah, there have been other big Terran players around, but I think very few that have left, apart from UV in my opinion, that have left as lasting an impression on the pro scene and on the hearts and minds of the StarCraft fan public as BoxeR and Nada, who I refer to as the solid snake, because to me he is the veteran of StarCraft. I think he's one of the few players who has just been so consistent for such a long period of time and still performed, and he's played in an almost tireless fashion and kept himself at the level that he still continues to represent his team at the Pro League, although I don't think he's had his hiatus in the Air Force team, and I think he'll be a huge addition to them when he finally gets. It looks like Nada is just about walling off his ramp. He's put his racks down as well as his supply depot, and he's also sent his SCV to scout. Unfortunately for him, in the wrong direction. This is Outsider, a 3-player map. BoxeR hasn't sent a scout out as yet, but it looks like he's walled off his ramp as well. Yeah, I'm hugely excited. I think at the start, yeah, BoxeR's walled off his ramp as well. And at the start of this tournament, I talked about, I guess, 3 or 4 players who I consider to be at the top form and to be the main contenders. Savior for Zerg. I said Nada for Terran, and BoxeR, well, a little bit less predictable because he'd only just begun his return. And is that yellow there? I don't think it is because he's got too much hair, so it looked a little bit like him for a second. And as I said, Savior for Zerg, Nada for Terran, and Reach for Protoss, but unfortunately, obviously didn't make it to the semifinals after some spectacular defeats. But yeah, but Nada is here, and so is BoxeR.
Well, I guess we should mention the fact that BoxeR is like 30 years old too. I don't know, the only pro gamer to hit the age of 30, whether it's Korean age or whatever age. He's 30 years old, so that's pretty crazy. Nada has grown up a lot too. I think he started when he was 14 or something ridiculous like that. I mean, that's baby young age right there. But now it looks like we're going to see some pressure going on BoxeR from Nada. Nada just forcing him to waste some minerals. Oh, and look at this. We got a dual... No, we got a triple starport coming from BoxeR. What the hell is that? And he's expanding. He's building a command center. I don't know how the hell he's got all those resources, but he's managing to put down a ton of buildings, a ton of expensive buildings all at the same time. So, I mean, what is that? That's 450 plus another 400 minerals. And so if he can hold off whatever Nada sends at him for long enough, he could be in some crazy good shape. I mean, if he just sends 3 rates over to Nada and Nada does not have anything in place, basically Nada's never going to be able to get up an armory or whatever it is he needs by the time BoxeR pumps out probably close to 6 or even 9 rates. Because they're all finishing almost at the same time. So another crazy strategy coming from BoxeR. This is what I was talking about, with him being a thoughtful player. When I said thoughtful, I guess what I was really looking for was creative. I mean, when's the last time you saw 3-point rates in a TVT match? It's very rare. It may be a little all-in, but at the same time, I think it's, even if something went wrong for him, it's recoverable. So I like this play, and the reason I like it the most is the fact that it just shows that BoxeR is still thinking. He's still out there. He's still doing what he does best, and that's being crazy. And Nada is in the dark right now. You can see he has no idea that this is coming. Unfortunately for him, he didn't lift up his barracks and do a forward barracks to actually try to spot out some of BoxeR's build. Instead, he just used it for a wall. And BoxeR's actually going for cloaked as well, so it's going to be a while before that academy goes down for Nada, and he's actually able to see what's going on. And by then, I'm pretty sure BoxeR will have attacked, although an armory is going down, so he may be able to stay safe.
Yeah, Nada's put down the armory and an academy, which is almost prescient of him, because I don't think BoxeR would have counted on him putting those 2 buildings down as early as he did. Now BoxeR coming with the raids, he's going to see that Nada's already got those. I'm not sure if he's even going to see that Nada's already got the armory and the academy down. So Nada actually might be okay defending against this. BoxeR with the 2 raids now, Nada with the 3 marines as well, which will help him hold off BoxeR's raids. BoxeR just trying to micro his raids. BoxeR obviously is a king of this kind of micro. Nada's now got 4 marines in there, continue to produce those marines, and actually this attack might not work out for BoxeR as he had hoped, because Nada's held him off at bay, even though BoxeR's been microing well. BoxeR with some Mutalisk style Wraith micro has picked off almost all of the marines. 1 Wraith almost dies, survives with 12 hit points. That was close. So BoxeR's going to be forced back. He didn't really hurt Nada's economy at all. He's still counting on the fact that his opponent doesn't have any anti-Wraith units, but now the first Goliath is already out. And BoxeR is floating his second starport over. What the hell is he doing? He's going to use the starport to absorb hits from the Goliath and hide his Wraiths in it. He's absolutely insane. You'd asked me when I had seen a 3-port rate strategy from a Terran player the last time. The answer, Rise, is never. Never. But Nada's actually in a pretty decent position in my opinion. He's got that 1 Goliath out, he's pumping marines to support the Goliaths, and he's got 2 comsats. And BoxeR, I don't think, has done enough damage to Nada's economy to really make this build pay off, even though BoxeR did put down his command center as well, and he is putting Nada under a lot of pressure.
Well, I'm kind of surprised, because he built 5 wraiths and he lifted up his starport, so certainly it already seems like it was a little bit of a waste of an investment here. And you're right, Nada is safe. He's coming out ahead, if anything. Although I guess one thing that BoxeR definitely has going for him is the fact that he's got a second expansion going up and running, and Nada has only got his first, and I don't know if he's building a second yet, but still, Nada's in perfectly decent shape, not to mention he has a ground force, which is something that BoxeR doesn't have at this point. He's got 5 raids floating around, a vulture and a marine, and that's just not going to go very far against even a single Goliath when he's got scan, and he's got more than a single Goliath. He's got at least 3 out there. I'm guessing 4, and he's probably getting the Terran booster upgrade if he doesn't already have it. And so he's going to be able to defend against this really easily, because those wraiths are not going to stand up against those upgrades for very long. And if that's the case, you know, BoxeR really has to figure out what tech he's going to switch to at this point to try to deal with what is already out on the field for Nada. And that kind of worries me, because I don't think that he's going to have the money to produce the amount of tanks that he needs. Although, if he can land at that second gas, the double gas, down at the 7 o'clock position, he can actually be in pretty good shape if he got that far. But I don't think that's going to happen, and he's going to lose more race here. And this is just, right now, it looks like he's going to be in a pretty rough spot, trying to do some economic harassment. But like you said, he hasn't done any. So if anything, BoxeR is the only one so far who's taken an economic harassment. Glazart, you there?
Yeah, we might actually have fallen out of sync there. I think there was a little bit of a lag spike there with Rise. So I'm at 923 on my video, 925 now. If you want to sync up with me when you hear this, I'm at 930
I'm all set.
now.
I'm with you.
So we've got the raids coming in, trying to clean up the Goliath behind BoxeR's new command center behind his second expansion that is allowing him to stay in the game. But now Nara is taking his expansion as well at the 2 o'clock position. Unfortunately, we have a bit of lag, and BoxeR's got a decent sized tank force as well. The thing about BoxeR is that the problem for BoxeR is that he is too creative for his own good. He's too creative too often, and that's why Nara, when he saw BoxeR had walled off so determinedly, he immediately started building an army and academy, and which is why he was able to cope with that 3-port crazy rate strategy, which wouldn't have worked in any other situation against any other player. He wouldn't have been able to defend had he not put those down buildings on as early as he did, and that's what allowed him to actually cope with that, and will probably allow him, I feel, because he's got a superior ground force now. Those raids, even though they're there, they do give BoxeR a little bit of mobility and air control. The amount of resources that BoxeR invested in the starports was really a waste, although he did have his expansion up running a lot earlier than Nara, so he's been producing more SCVs, but BoxeR did get a Goliath behind there to do some damage to that as well. So Nara's just trying to get some position with his ground forces. BoxeR, with his 5 siege tanks just sitting across the middle to try and secure those expansions, now taking his natural gas as well. I think Nara's had his natural refining up a little bit longer than BoxeR. And Nara's also had at least 2 factories up far longer than BoxeR. BoxeR only now getting his 2nd factory down, whereas Nara's already up at 4 factories and 2 of them with machine shops. So you really feel that it is going to be a hugely uphill climb for BoxeR in this game. And it's just simply because of the fact that Nara read him really well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I think that Nada definitely responded to playing in the dark really well. That Armory and Academy was definitely a good idea. Maybe he didn't think it was going to be 3-point Wraith, but I don't think it made too much of a difference. But it looks like BoxeR is going to get a little bit of a one-up. He might actually get that dropship taken down. He is going to take it down, and that is going to be horrible for Nada. He's going to lose 1 Wraith, but it was worth it. I mean, that has just taken away the mobility factor that Nada was looking for, not to mention the fact that BoxeR is going to be able to get his own at this point. He's going to be able to see that dropship play is now out on the field, basically. Nada is going for dropships. So he's going to be able to get one of his own, and there it is right there. Is he's had a starport for forever, so it's like it's only natural that he gets his own dropship. And Nada is going to lose another one to those Wraiths if he's not careful. Only a couple of Goliaths, but they are going to be, it doesn't matter. He's going to be able to take out the Wraiths, but not before losing that dropship. So that's huge. He's lost 2 dropships at this point. Nada still has, I think, the superior force, the superior ground force at least, but now BoxeR has the mobility advantage to try to equalize that factor out a little bit. Both players trying to expo up quite a bit. Nada going on for his 4th base, I think, and BoxeR doing the same. But we'll have to see if BoxeR's able to catch up. You were right that he just didn't have the same amount of factories, and that's going to be huge. You can see BoxeR also building an eBay now because you can see that he's got to start protecting against those dropships that are going to be heading his way in the very near future, because Nada, he's going to keep making them. It's just because he lost 2 doesn't mean he's going to stop making dropships. So definitely BoxeR, and wow, he's going all machine shops as we look at this first-person point of view. So that's going to be heavy tanks in most likelihood. And really, that is kind of what I think he's got to do at this point. Set up a little bit of a contain as best he can. Use those dropships as best he can. And that's one way that he can potentially start to take Nada down. But not at the same time. You know, he's just been in a very comfortable position for about 10 minutes at this point. And really, that may be long enough, with the exception of the couple of dropships that he lost. That may be more than enough for a player like Nada to stay ahead and to he's setting up a little bit of a contain of his own, and there you can see his 2 dropships. So really, he's very much in this game, and I think that BoxeR still has some work to do in order to win this, but I do think that it's starting to even out a bit as time goes on.
Yeah, well, obviously losing those 2 dropships was a bit of a hit, and that allowed BoxeR to get that double gas expo up and running to begin with, and to get his own 2 dropships on the ground to equalize somewhat the military groundiness that Nada had. Now Nada coming in with the 2 dropships. BoxeR has his siege tank well positioned already, and he drops a couple of units. He's got a turret up there as well. So BoxeR's got enough. He's got the left side of the map fairly well secured. Nada, I think, still slightly ahead because he's taken that main of the 6 o'clock position. So he's holding that main, which will also give him the natural of that 6 o'clock position, whereas BoxeR is limited to his own main, but he does have access to that, potentially to that double gas of Nada's main at the top, at the 11 o'clock position, from BoxeR's main at the 9 o'clock position. But yeah, and BoxeR doing a couple of smart things. I mean, this is a little bit reminiscent of his game against Flash, where he was behind that epic he played, and where BoxeR managed to take out Flash's dropships and get him outnumbered that way, because a map like Outsider is all about maneuverability, as you said earlier, Rice. So BoxeR realizing that because he's behind. He's concentrating on trying to get his dropship fleet outnumber Nana's dropship fleet, so that even though he has fewer units in total, he's still able to be in as many places as Nana is. And secondarily, Nana looks like he might be coming in for another drop of the tree. And the secondarily, he's trying to concentrate mainly on tanks because he just doesn't have enough resources to have both Goliaths and tanks. And he realizes that if he can get his tank count up, that will be enough to help him defend. And then he can start doing the Goliath thing, and he can supplement instead of Goliaths. He can have the turrets there. Although obviously Goliaths are more useful when dropping on top of your enemy than just a force of pure tanks, because you can have more of those. But Nana now he's got 3 dropships. BoxeR I think still with the 2. I'm sure he's got a 3rd dropship somewhere. So it just shows that Nana's ability to produce and out macro BoxeR is huge in this game because of that advantage he's had, and you can just see him pumping those out. And I do feel that Nana's got a superior ground force. But Terran versus Terran, it is possible to slowly turn the tide, but I do feel that Nana would have to be Nana. Look at that, he's got something like his 10th factory going down. And I think BoxeR's still with a 4 or 5, and now he's got 4 dropships as well. So I really think BoxeR, even though he's getting turrets up there, he's getting defenses, I really think BoxeR's going to struggle to hold once these drops start kicking in from Nada. And it looks like Nada is just about going for his first drop now at that 11 o'clock position, behind that 11 o'clock position.
Yeah, and this is going to be really bad for BoxeR, because we know that BoxeR traditionally is a little bit weaker when it comes to macro, but as we were watching his first-person view, I actually thought that he was doing a pretty good job, and I think that he's been focusing more on it as, you know, macro has become more and more the standard in gameplay. But either way, Nada is now working on having 2/3 of the map. It looks like we're seeing a counter drop though coming from BoxeR, but BoxeR is not dropped in a particularly ideal location. He's losing all of his tanks. There are SCVs out on the line, and that is going to be a completely failed drop, only taking out a couple of tanks. And we're seeing another drop coming from Nada right on the starport, and a couple of turrets, and he's going to just continue to take stuff out, reloading up those 2 dropships. You can see BoxeR frantically trying to defend on multiple fronts, and really Nada's 408 PM is really coming into play here, as he just is able to be all over the map at the same time. And BoxeR, I don't know if he's as fast as Nada these days. You know, Nada really has been a consistent player over the years, and so I gotta think that plays into his game plan a little bit here, especially as the game goes on longer and longer. I think that Nada has a better and better chance of winning these games. And now Nada has 75% of the map. If you look on the mini-map, there's a lot of yellow, not as much green, and now he's starting to hit BoxeR where it hurts, which is his supply. BoxeR, while he's been doing very good with gas and been able to produce a ton of tanks, he just isn't able to defend that area very well. And while he's got a good line being set up now, it's too little too late, really, because he's been encroached on. He's got supply depots going down, and at this point, when you start losing your base in the TVT, and the other player is just macroing up continually unharassed, that just means that you've lost. And there's really, at this point, in my mind, no way for BoxeR to get into this game, as Nada continues to just pump out those dropships. 5 dropships loading up tanks and Goliaths, and he's just going to continue to pound on BoxeR, and really all he's got to do now is decide where to hit him next, and in multiple areas, and BoxeR's not going to be able to respond. He's only got 2 dropships, so even if he knew where Nada was going, he's going to be way too slow in trying to take him out. And right into the middle of the battle, right in the middle of the field, BoxeR is being dropped on by Nada. Nada just taking out all of the units. And BoxeR has certainly lost his game trying to drop some tanks up on the ledge, but really that's not going to be enough. Normally that's great with a little hit percentage, but in mass units against minimal units, it's not going to work to your advantage all that much. And BoxeR, I think, has pretty much made himself, unfortunately, started to drop his way out of this game.
Yeah, actually, I think the GG moment was a few minutes ago when Nada took out that command center at the 11 o'clock. BoxeR trying to counter at the 6, and that was a horribly failed counter. He just didn't have the number of units, and he's just been badly outnumbered. And Nada with 2-0 upgrades on his tanks, and BoxeR with only 1-0 on his. So that's another key difference between the 2 players. But yeah, I think it's just, I don't think that it's down to Nada's APM or BoxeR's inability to macro. I think it's just a purely strategic victory where BoxeR went for a 3-port Wraith rush, and you know, when you invest the kind of resources that you invest in that, if you don't pull it off or don't make it count, and I don't think BoxeR killed too many SCVs at all with his raids, you're just going to be so far behind that it's going to be pretty impossible for you to come back. So I think it was more of a strategic victory, and Nada obviously has the solidity of play to be able to follow that. But now Nada coming in with the killing maneuver, dropping units right on top of BoxeR's lines at his supply depots, as well as rushing up that ramp, which is a little bit narrow, and not all of Nada's units are able to get in the kind of range where he wanted. But he's got dropships in play, BoxeR bringing his dropships back, but it's just it's just a question of BoxeR holding on, even though he's badly outnumbered and there's no way he can end. Any other race would have been finished by now, but Terran versus Terran lasts a little bit longer because of that, and it's just down to whether or not a player is willing to kind of accept defeat when it's clear that there's no way they're going to be able to come back in this game, and really there's no way BoxeR can come back in this game. So I would call GG right now if I was BoxeR, but you know, he's every right to fight it out for as long as he wants.
Yeah, so it looks like Nada's going to go up 1-0 in this series so far, but this is a best of 3, so it's a little early to call who's going to win it. Certainly, if BoxeR can pull off some of his more creative tactics, he's got a great chance to win this. But I do think that Nada just, I'm not going to say it's APM necessarily or what, but I do think that his late game and macro game is stronger than BoxeR's. Although I really do think that BoxeR has been working on it. So we'll have to see if it's just up to snuff with a current pro gamer who's got a ton of practice versus BoxeR who's really been working at coming back into the scene. And so he's definitely going to be a little bit behind in terms of, I guess, practice time alone, because, you know, again, Nada's a consistent player for a reason, because he practices a lot. And, oh, man, BoxeR getting caught out in the middle of his field with the rest of his dropships. And I think this, look how quickly that gets cleaned up. And GG coming from BoxeR. So that is going to be it. Nada's going to take the first game 1-0. And I don't know if you got any closing thoughts, class, but I'm ready to go to game 2, because, wow, look at Nada, man. He's got some biceps on him. He's been pumping some iron, I think.
Yeah, serious iron, and he completely outlifted BoxeR there. GG.